So this is the S.O.P, the operating procedure for managing triggers, setbacks, problems, and painful situations. Firstly, problems are going to happen. Challenges are going to happen. You are going to experience pain and challenges. And especially when you're really growing in your business, you're running your big team, right? You're managing lots of money coming through, you're doing a lot of things, and you're having your beautiful life, and you've got your partner, and you've got your kids, and you've got family, and you've got all the things. Shit's gonna happen, okay? That's just what we understand and accept, and stop being so shocked that things are difficult, right? Step one, shit's gonna happen. I'm going to face challenges day in, day out, sometimes small, sometimes big. So we just can relax into that. That's just how it is. Yes, maybe half your life's going to be amazing. Maybe half your life's going to be difficult. And we accept that's part of life. It's the light and the shadow. It's the up, it's the down, right? It's both things. So we embrace that and just understand. And we're building strength, we're building resilience, and we're stepping into leadership through whatever life brings. Deep breath into that. Okay, so a problem hits you. You have a challenge present itself. You have a reaction to that problem. You have a reaction to that challenge. So this is how to move through a situation, living abundance leader style, right? When we are in our wealthy leader. So my first recommendation, I'm going to say this is how I suggest to move through, but again, you honor yourself, you honor your flow, you listen to what's right for you. This is what I highly recommend, okay? Is first, do not take action from a reaction. Do not take action from a reaction. Don't write an email, don't send a text, do not respond. Give yourself time to self-regulate. That is my top tip, okay? So, right? Stop is really step one. We want to stop. Step one is stop. First, then after you stop, you witness. So you want to become the witness, the wealthy observer, and look at what is coming up for you. What is coming up for you? What are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are the thoughts that you're having around the situation? What are you feeling? Right? What are the feelings that are coming up around this situation? And what is happening in your body? So how is your body responding? So you want to be the witness. So what we're starting to do is to separate, the fact, right? The facts about happening with the fiction, right? The fact versus the feelings. We want to start to separate, right? What is actually happening versus the stories that you're telling yourself, right? This is really, really important. So we move into being the witness, right? Or the observer, the wealthy witness. Okay, so we've stopped and we've looked at, whoa, what's happening for me right now? What reaction am I having? And we start to be the observer. So you want to breathe and stay present with yourself. Breathe and stay present with yourself. So you're giving yourself some space, right? Just giving yourself some space if you can. I know it's not always possible. So we are witnessing, we are breathing. Breathe. Take a minute. Okay, this is the radical self-responsibility piece. So what we're moving into is you want to move out of the reaction, essentially. You want to move out of the reaction. So we are moving into release. So my step one money manifestation is to relax. So stop, right? We want to help yourself move back into a state of relaxation so that you can release. Step two is release. So we want to release the stress, the reaction in your mind, in your emotions and your body, right? That mind, body, emotion reaction. So the next step is, how do I release the reaction? So this is your job, is to release the reaction that's happening, because that is yours. Your reaction is yours. right? We love to kind of point the finger, shame, blame, but your reaction belongs to you. So this is really, really important. So we want to release. We want to hold space to release. This, right, is ninja moves. I think this is mastery level, even though we might know these ideas, but it's actually really challenging in the moment of a reaction, as you know. So we want to think about all the ways that you can release. So there's just a few thoughts I have here, right? One is really powerful, is to move your body, right? To get moving. Maybe go for a run, go to the gym, go for a walk, dance, shake it out, right? Actually just shaking out the response that's happening in your body is really freaking powerful. So you need to listen, right? And really tune in. What do you need to do? Moving the body is very, very powerful. Journaling, writing it out, like stream of consciousness, vent it out, vomit it out, right? Writing, journaling. You can voice it out. Maybe instead of voice recorder, you can give yourself a space to rant, to vent, to vomit it out, to release out that reaction that is happening through your body, not in the email, not in the text, right? Not in our Facebook group, right? This is something that you're doing in your own, you're processing your emotions. So you can also take it to your therapist. If you have talking therapy, take it to your therapist, something to talk out, to process. If you have a good friend where you guys do that for each other, maybe there's a space to do that if you've got that set up. But essentially, you want to hold space to release and find the tools and techniques to release the reaction in your body and figure out your best way of doing that. So that takes a minute, right? Essentially, what we want to get to is nervous system regulation. Nervous system regulation. You want to regulate your nervous system before you do anything. So it's a very, very simple way to say it. Very, very simple way to say it. Okay, so what we want to get clear on is you want to decipher and determine fact from fiction. This, I think, can be very, very challenging, and you may need some support and facilitation with it. But essentially, is what stories are you telling yourself about the situation? What are you making this mean? What are you making this mean? This is really important. So it's fact versus fiction. Eventually, what you want to get to, right? What you want to get to is, what are the facts about the situation? What's the hard data about the situation? If there was a camera filming what happened, what are the actual undisputable facts that are data, that's data driven? What's very interesting, right, through a challenge or a reaction, there's usually a very, very simple, there's usually not that much information in the data. It's usually very, very simple. The thing that makes it complicated is what you tell yourself about that situation. What you tell yourself about the situation. So this is about data, fact versus fiction. This is fact versus feelings, right? Your feelings have value and there's information in them, but we really want to get clear on what is what. What is what? Okay, so this step is challenging and sometimes needs facilitation, because when we're so steeped in stories or steeped in wounding or steeped in, being triggered from a past situation, can feel very, very real. So just to say that sometimes needs some time and some facilitation and some support. But essentially, that's what we want to get to. What is true? What is not true? What am I telling myself, right? Versus the facts. So that's a really important thing that might take some time, right? And it might change over time, but that's what you essentially want to get down to. You want to get super grounded. And this is where we're bringing in what I would say the healthy masculine, right? The healthy masculine that's going to hold really clear containers, really clear boundaries, right? A little bit less emotional, a little bit more kind of focused, right? We want the healthy masculine to come into this. But as I said before, we are then moving into regulating your nervous system. We want to regulate your nervous system. In some ways, you can say that's really at the core of what we're talking about here, nervous system regulation. So you want to commit to regulating your nervous system, calming down the mind, balancing the emotions and relaxing your body. Calming the mind, calming down the thoughts, right? Balancing the emotions, calming down the emotional response, and relaxing your body, right? And relaxing your body. We're letting go of the drama, letting go of the drama. So this is a really important piece. And remember that that can take time based on what's happening. That needs facilitation, that needs support. But this is what I want you to really start becoming very, very aware of, is what is a reaction, right? Versus what is fact. And for me, this is everything. This is so, so important in terms of moving forward. So this is what I want you to think about with leadership through every situation is first, right? Relax, release, relax, release, regulate my nervous system. So we can get grounded again, get centered again, and then we know how to move forward. We can get back into effective action, essentially. So we want to let go of the drama, right? Let go of the drama. All of this leaks so much energy. All of this leaks so much time. Right? All of this just drains you and takes you away from what you're supposed to be doing. I know, because I've done this so many times over and over again. So we want to tighten up hatches, right? With a lot of love and compassion, knowing that some things cannot be rushed, some things take time, but also there's some things that you're leaking your energy into that you can just make a choice to shift it. Sometimes it's as simple as that. It's like, no, back in, no, back in, right? So this is what we want to become. It's a discipline. It really is a discipline, and easier said than done in the moment. I know, trust me, I know. So next thing is we are letting go. We're letting go. Oh, easier said than done. But we want to let go of the drama. Essentially, let go of what you can't control, right? Letting go of how you want the outside world to react. Let go of how you want other people to be behaving, letting go of what you think other people should or should not be doing, focusing out rather than in. Yes, obviously there's some people whose lives you're going to impact positively and that are, really in the game with you, for sure. But most people, right, they're just doing the thing. So I tell you this because I've drained so much time and energy trying to help other people or trying to change other people. And it's just like bashing your head against a brick wall. And really, it's about coming home back into yourself. What do you need to change within yourself in this situation? So we can't control how other people respond, how other people react, what other people choose, but you can control how you react, how you respond, and what you choose. That is what you have agency over. So we want to let go of all the things that you can't control as much as you can and come back into what I call radical self-responsibility and just save yourself a lot of time and energy, essentially, right? Essentially. So this is the let go, let God, or the soulful surrender, which essentially is relaxing your body, regulating your nervous system, right? Another way of saying that. How much are we gripping, holding on, trying to make something happen, right? Right? What happens if you just let it go and come back into connection with yourself again? So, right, all of these are easier said than done, but this is the discipline, this is the practice, what I want you to keep coming back to again and again and again. We start to mine for gold. We're going to start mining for gold. This is where we start finding the riches. It doesn't all happen in this exact order, of course, but what we want to do, right, is once you have calmed down, regulated your nervous system, vented, vomited, released, right, settled down, we want to start tapping into what I like to call the wealthy wisdom within, the gold within, your inner knowing, your creative power, back into a position of power. So we want to move out of victim consciousness, where you feel powerless and hopeless, and remind yourself just how friggin' powerful you are. Come back into your power. come back into your inner creator, come back into your leader, right? And the part of you that can turn this ship around. This is what we want to move you back into, out of lack, scarcity, victim consciousness, into powerful creator, into leader. So we want to connect to your wealthy wisdom within. We want to go deeper than the reaction. So there's been a reaction, calm it, and then go mining for gold. So where is the gold here? So it's a decision to choose to find it, right? How do I monetize this shit is my fun way to say it, right? So we want to start going into some reflection time. So some open questions that you consider are, what have you learned from this situation? What has this situation taught you, right? What have you learned about yourself? Right? What information is here for you? There's going to be a lot of interesting information for you. So what has this situation taught you? In a sense, we're saying, what is the gift of this situation? How is it here to serve me? Right? How is this situation here to serve me? What have I learned about myself? What has it taught me about myself? So we are going into reflection. So out of the shame and blame and the shoulds and coulds into, myself. What can I learn from this situation? And perhaps what do I need to do differently moving forward, right? Back into that inner leader, back into that radical self-responsibility. What do I need to do differently moving forward? Let's forget about that person or that situation. What do I need to do? So this is a really important reflection piece. When we're in a reaction, there tends to be defend, that fight, flight, freeze. And when we step into our wealthy leader, we are open, we are receptive, we are learning, we are growing, we are evolving. We're staying curious, we're staying open to life. So then what we want to do when we're mining for gold, we're reflecting, we're learning. We want to do a bit of vulnerability work and look at your needs, right? So in there, in your reaction, there'll be some unmet need. There'll be some unmet need. And this is where we go into vulnerability. Now, this isn't about putting it on the other person or the situation. This is about going into yourself, your deepest vulnerability, which is painful, and most people struggle to go in here. So this requires safety to be able to access. So what we want to say is, what do you need? So what support do you need, right? What does your vulnerable self need? Or little you need if it's an inner child piece? We want to think, okay, this bit me, have this reaction. There's an unmet need. There's a part of you that's not held, not supported. What is that? It's not on anyone else to meet it right now. This is on you to first identify it. And this is the beauty of painful, challenging situations, is we'll usually find there's an unmet need or there's some kind of lack of support. So the painful situation can show you that you need to call in more support, right? There's more needs that you have to be met, and start to identify them. And your job is to identify them so you can communicate them and you can know how to meet those needs. Really important, really powerful. Hard to find sometimes because it's deep in the depth of vulnerability. So it's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good, but it's really, really important. So once you've identified your needs, you want to start calling that in, right? You want to start manifesting these pits. These are the bits that's like, this is the support that I need. This is the support that I need to navigate. This is the vulnerable bit. And we can absolutely call in what we want from other people or relationships, but it's really about trying to unhook it from external situations and start to really get clear on what is the need. So maybe it's more support. Maybe it's another team member. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's cuddles. Maybe it's having someone cook for you. Maybe it's having a cleaner. Maybe it's having a massage, right? Maybe it's having a really new level quality of friendship. What is it for you? Maybe it's better systems in your business. Maybe it's an accountant. What is it? What is it that you need? And usually through the pain, or through the lack or through the not having, that's when we identify what we do need. So this is the gift of all the painful situations. It's got information in it. It's telling you that there's an unmet need. There's something that needs to be created, something that needs to be built, something that needs to start calling in. And because of the pain, that's how you've identified it. So this is what we want to start doing, is packing it out. What do I need? What do I need? And that is your job, to get clear on what that is. Again, I've learned this the hard way, waiting for the people to figure out what my needs are and hoping and praying that they'll give it to me. Didn't work. It didn't work. I had to know what my needs were so I could learn how to communicate them, ask for them, call them in, right? And take responsibility for getting those needs met. So again, we're not taught how to do a lot of these things. So what do you need? Right? What support do you need? And start identifying. That's the first thing. You need to know what it is so you can start calling it in. And then you start calling it in, and then you get it on your vision board. And please know that you'll see a lot of the lack, or a lot of the opposite of that showing up, right? Because we are getting clear on a new need that maybe you haven't really been able to see or acknowledge or identify before. So you have to hold space, right? Hold space, be with the discomfort of these needs not being met for a little while. Now, in that, it sort of bleeds into this next step, which is humility. You need to get humble. This is about getting vulnerable enough to drop your defenses, drop your protection, moving out that fight, flight, freeze, that protection, defending response into softness, openness, vulnerability, humility. And this is what I call radical self-responsibility again. It's like, okay, acknowledge your part, right? Where were your mistakes, right? What part did you have to play in this situation? Even if something's happening to you, right? What's your response in that? What's your responsibility within how you responded, for example? So we're moving out of victim into leader. It's painful. It's painful, but this is really important. What's your piece here? Right? What is your piece here? Doesn't mean it's all on you. It's just, what is your piece? So this is where we get vulnerable enough, humble enough to be willing to learn, to be willing to acknowledge what's missing, what isn't there, right? Where the weaknesses are. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to get things wrong. You are going to fail over and over again. And if you can't acknowledge that, it's going to be very, very difficult. It doesn't feel good, does not feel good, but it's really, really important. So we need to, this is where you're willing to learn, where you're willing to grow, where you're going to be wrong, where you're going to be vulnerable. Very hard when we're in a protected, defended position, right? It requires vulnerability and humility. So that is part of the inner work, where we go deep and in, and you find that when you feel safe. You will find that when you feel safe. So your job is to create safety for yourself, so you can get vulnerable and you can get humble, right? And not wait for other people to give that to you, right? This is part of what you're creating for yourself. Amazing. Goodness, this is why you must be well paid, my friends. This is why you must be well paid. Okay, beautiful. So the next step is gratitude. Gratitude. Being grateful for this situation. Gratitude. We want to thank this situation for teaching you and growing you. Acknowledge this situation for helping you gain strength and resilience. Acknowledging, thanking this situation for all it's showing you where the gaps are, showing you what's missing, showing you what you need to call in, showing you aspects of yourself. We grow through adversity. We learn from painful situations, right? We learn from things not working. So we want to embrace it all, make friends with failure, and be like, oh, okay, thank you. Go back to gratitude. Right? That's not easy either sometimes, but this is what we want to get to. Be like, okay, wow, that wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy that. I wouldn't choose that. But what have I learned? Gratitude. And then we're moving into next level leadership. So we talked about it a bit at the beginning. How are you going to show up now? So we want to tap back into that wealthy leader, remembering, who do you want to be? How do you want to be? And how do you want to show up through every situation? So how are you going to show up now? What kind of business owner, what kind of leader do you want to be? What does the wealthy version of you know? Right? How does the wealthy version of you roll? And tune into that. We want to tap back into that leader again. Tap back into that leader again. Tap back into that leader. So put this down here. Leadership. And it's all a choice. It's all a choice. This is just a suggestion, but one I recommend. And then after that, the last step is action, aligned action. So once you have calmed the reaction, regulated your nervous system, gone mining for gold, got clear what your unmet needs are, thank the situation, got back into vulnerability, humility, being willing to learn, being willing to grow, being willing to evolve. We step back into that leader again. We've tapped back into that wealthy wisdom. We want to tune in and be asking, what aligned action am I being guided to take now? What does the luxurious leader version of myself say? What does the wealthy wisdom inside of me say? What do I need to do now? What action do I need to take? And depending on what the situation is, there might be, a number of moving pieces, but essentially we're getting back into action. We're getting back into action. What is the best way to navigate through this situation? What does this situation require? That might take a little bit of time to figure out, depending on what it is, because we need to sift through like what's what, based on, reaction versus action, reaction versus aligned action. What needs to happen? So how does the wealthy, wise leader communicate, right? So we might need to learn some new communication skills, navigating conflict, navigating difficulty, right? These are all ninja moves and important skills. So how does this version of me navigate this situation, right? And this is a part of you that leans in and shows up and stays calm and is clear. Takes action, not from reaction, but from that inner wisdom, that inner guidance, from that wealthy, wise leader within. And it's very, very interesting to see what this part of you says. And this is, again, you might be learning or needing to learn new skills, conflict resolution, communication, nonviolent communication. These are all skills. This is part of how to navigate, really, really important, especially if you're going to be, in a successful relationship, if you're going to be running a team, right? If you're doing, your management, working with, clients, all of it. It's really, really important. And you don't need to be perfect at it, but the willingness to show up from a different place within yourself. So taking a deep breath and being with all of this, one step at a time. And again, these are not steps to beat yourself up with. You will fail. You will fall off the wagon. You will fall out of alignment again and again and again. You'll fall off the surfboard, right? As all professional surfers do. This is about coming back home to yourself. And this is a practice. This takes time. This takes energy. This is a discipline. It can feel hard sometimes. It can feel frustrating sometimes. It can be, it is painful. But this is what we come back to. And then from this, from finally getting back into aligned action, this is how you show up as a powerful creator. This is part of manifestation mastery, money manifestation mastery, but manifestation mastery in terms of whatever you're doing. This is like the practical human. Like this is the getting down and dirty, the nitty gritty. And I know that you do so much of this work already and you're absolutely amazing. And this is a reminder, step by step. This is what I do over and over again, personally, over and over again. Because when you're leaning in, just a reminder, when you're leaning into the life that you want, everything that isn't will show up. right? This is why most people don't go there, because they're like, ah, shit, I'm gonna have to face some shit. Right? So you want an amazing relationship with money. You want to transform your finances. You are going to have to look at the shit of what isn't, right? Your current reality. What is here, right now? That does not feel good. But if we can move out of a place of reaction or judgment, self-criticism, frustration, whatever, and do this inner work and just show up calm, clear, like out of the stories. We release the stories. We release what we make that mean. All the frigging stories drains so much energy. And that's a practice, of course, but it's like, okay, what if I just look at this in a really like logical, practical way? What needs to happen, right? So eventually we're just getting down to business. We're just taking some action and moving things forward, but we need to kind of get out of the way. So just when we are in reaction, we are in the fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode generally, fighting, pushing, forcing. Or we are in flight, we are in a total avoidance. Get me out of here. I don't want to go anywhere near that. Or we're in freeze. I can't move, do anything. Or there's the fawn, where you leave yourself and you're like, how can, you're meeting everyone else's needs all of the time. You leave yourself to try and keep the peace, right? So you want to start to be really clear at, where am I going into a reaction? Where am I taking action that's aligned action from that wealthy wisdom? When I'm calm, when I'm grounded, when I'm settled, when I'm clear. And really tuning in. And that can take a minute. And also, when you're navigating through, it can be really painful to see what isn't. So there may be a reaction to what isn't, right? How your partner is, how your business is, how your finances are. So it's really being the witness over and over again, coming back into regulation. That is what I recommend. And this is then when you tap into the powerful creator self again. So that is where I put a lot of time and energy, right? And in the behind the scenes alignment piece. And then actually, once you're calm, once you're grounded, when you feel safe, action becomes relatively straightforward and relatively simple.